So that one from Rabada on about a fourth stump line to the right-handed Noor Ali, and he defends. It comes off the inside edge onto his pad, and there is no run.
I also remember looking at the fact that Mitchell Starc just broke the record for the fewest matches, 250 ODI wickets.
Right.
I think Rabada, if he manages to go just over 5 wickets a game for his next 6 or 7, he'll break that record. So,
5 wickets a game?
Yeah, he just has to take
Speaking
a 5
to a man who averages
game.
like 2 a game.
He just needs to take a 5 for every game, and this is a good place to start.
It would be a very good place for him to start, as he's in again to Noor Ali. He's bowling from the River Taff end. This one is nicely played by the right-handed Afghanistan batsman, and he plays it out into the leg side. Oh, my goodness, there's a shout here for a run-out as Noor Ali Zadran comes back for the second, and that was great work by Quinton de Kock there, and I think Rassie van der Dussen in the field. We'll take you through that now.
And that is a review jingle.
I'll be reviewing.
Different sort of review. Umpire's review.
Reviews access to extend my career.
So a simple one for third umpire Ian Gould, as Noor Ali Zadran is probably about a foot into his crease as that ball hits the stumps. But good work from Quinton de Kock. Quick thinking. And if he had been slightly slower, that could have got himself into trouble. But it was a good shot from the right-handed Noor Ali, just playing it out into the offside, and the field is very much set for the attacking bowling of Kagiso Rabada. This one, a very good ball, nice length, and just comes off the handle of the bat and defensively into the leg side from Noor Ali, no run.
And I think that sort of canny wicket keeping does keep the batsman on their toes. They do start to think twice when taking those quick singles and twos.
Absolutely, it's it's quick thinking, because he hit the stumps, which is another plus. It wasn't a great throw. Had it been over the top of the stumps, I think the batter would have been in a lot more trouble actually, and taking on the South African fielders there. As Rabada's in again. This one, he gets the edge, but it's all the way along the ground down to third man, where Tahir picks up, throws in, and Noor Ali Zadran gets a single. 4 off the over so far, 21 without loss in the 5th over of Afghanistan. Good start for them. No wicket yet, and South Africa will be really searching for this wicket. Need a couple of early ones. Hazratullah, very dangerous batsman, and Noor Ali can keep up an end by the looks of things. He certainly did that when they had that really good opening partnership in the match. Was it against Sri Lanka?
It was against New Zealand.
This one, Hazratullah has hit it high up into the air. There's 2 men chasing back for it. Oh, my word. And it was dropped by the fielder who was chasing that. Chris Morris chasing that.
But Rassie fetched
and fetched just inside the boundary. No, I don't think so. We're going to have a review on the 4. Take us through that, Chris.
High up in the air, Chris Morris was chasing it over his own shoulder, running at full speed, just managed to touch it and almost played a through ball onto the boundary. It was running away for 4 after that, and then Rassie van der Dussen did his best to try and stop it. We're checking the boundary now.
But unfortunately, he pulled it back onto his hand as he was touching the boundary. That is going to be 4.
Oh, sorry. Again. I'll stop that. So many things are happening now. And yes, we've got some guys from Cricket Tracker India who are watching us. Hello, Devi Sharma. She says, hey guys. Elisna Maria Londal says, still love you. Hi. And she says, me too. Hello to Abhi Nandan Jha.
And the 4 has been given. So after 5 overs, Afghanistan 25 without loss. And really, that one from Hazratullah, very dangerous. He nearly was out, and that we can count that as a drop catch, or that was a very difficult one.
Yeah, although
it's still a drop catch.
Definitely a drop catch, and I think if Morris hadn't gone for it, it might not have been a 4 either, because he turned all the vertical energy into horizontal energy and sent it shooting towards the boundary.
Hendricks again to the right-handed Noor Ali, and he plays this one in the air through the gap between point and cover point, and it's going to race away to the boundary for 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Not the start Faf du Plessis would be looking for. They look a bit flat in the field, this team, South Africa does, and that's going against what Faf was hoping to get. He was talking about intensity.
Yeah, they don't look like they've got the intensity, do they, at the moment, as we see that one, the previous one, which was dropped by Chris Morris, Hazratullah, trying to play that one up and to get snow on it. That probably was why he dropped it, had ice on the ball as it came down. This one from Hendricks, much better delivery into the body of Noor Ali, and there is no run.
So in that Sri Lanka-Australia game, Australia 310 for 5, 3 overs left. Maxwell 31 off of 15, so he could be going down the fastest 50 of the tournament, which probably will be in the next 5 balls. Or
25 balls so far, I think.
Oh, okay, so he'll get there most definitely.
He may do.
And then Sean Marsh was out, caught Sirawadna, bowled Udana for 3 off 9, and the person who's in right now with Marsh, I think, is Alex Carey.
Yeah, who's been a revelation this tournament.
Now in that.
Had some really good innings so far. This one on the line of the middle stump from Bjorn Hendricks, not managing to get it to angle away outside the off on that length against Noor Ali. That must be a concern for the South Africans as well. They've got a packed slip field.
They do. South Africa looking to open up their account with a win. This is probably the longest they've gone without actually winning a cricket
I think so.
It's 4 matches.
Yeah, this is the 4th match of so 4 matches already in the tournament. Certainly. I don't remember ever having gone this long in a World Cup before. This one's defended into the offside, and there is no run.
And we do seem to be a team that struggles to create energy without something happening on the field. It seems to be a wicket that would bring momentum to South Africa.
Yes, and it should be a piece of fielding, a good piece of fielding, a stop that should get the energy. You should always walk into the field with a bit of energy to start off with. They can't just die after the first ball.
No, we're not seeing anything exceptional from South Africa. Nothing to really G them up at the moment.
No clapping of hands, no talking.
No.
It's
Hendricks in again. This was a really poor delivery on the line of leg stump, and it's just tickled round the corner by the right-handed Noor Ali down to the boundary for 4.
The number of the day. Who could ask for more? The number of the day is 4.
And we have just seen someone under an umbrella. The umpires are now taking the stumps off. Rain stops play.
The rain has started and the rain has stopped play. So
that can't be a bad thing probably for South Africa. It gives them a chance to regroup.
It is very, very
because
bad,
at the moment it's it's not it's not supposed to be raining for the rest of the day, according to the weather forecast. So we're hopeful this is just a short break.
It's just a tactical timeout.
It is a tactical timeout
whilst it rains.
They had the South African Air Force were out seeding the clouds above Cardiff and try and get something just to give them a chance to. The one plane that we do have in the South African Air Force. No, just joking. So covers are coming on. The hovercraft covers have made their way onto the field, so we can do some tweets and
no tweets yet. But let's have a conversation. How are these 5.5 overs been for you guys?
The bowling started out looking very strong, but I think we're so blessed with good fast bowling in South Africa that if we don't get a wicket in the first 5 or 6 overs, we suddenly feel like we are on the back foot.
Yeah.
And this game is a game of it's a game of time, of managing, of understanding that you've got time in this game and you can get wickets even though you don't get them up front. We have a fixation, as you say, about getting wickets too early, trying to strike in the first 5 overs, and when that doesn't happen, you automatically assume we need to go back to Plan B, which in South Africa's case is always the short ball.
Well, certainly the trend that we've seen around containing the batters has been to keep putting that ball in the right areas first up, so you don't give them the opportunity to play freely and have a full go at the ball. And that hasn't happened again today. First 2 overs were very good, as Chris says. They looked like they were bowling in the right area. Areas, the gift from Kakisa Rabada in the same areas as the time, and that is really going to hurt us. Not only potentially in this matter down the line.
To be in the battle, we structure. It clearly looks like our bowl very erratic. It hasn't been consistent length, and it's very disappointing to see the team in a hole that South Africa is in right now. Isn't going back to basics and giving each person a role, letting them know what they need to do, and it's very frustrating as a fan to watch, especially in this match, because you're 33 without loss, 5.5 overs in, and against a team that you should not have a problem, putting away.
Absolutely. They should, one senses that maybe the analysis of the pitch, one can see whether it's the right decision to bowl or not. Obviously, only later teams have had a chance to use the surface, but it seems like the surface is not doing anything particularly. No sideways movement, nothing from a swing point of view with the overhead conditions. And so it's then about bowling to a plan, bowling consistently to a plan, and we haven't done that so far. One wonders whether, from a professional, looking at the Afghanistan batters, understanding them, there must be plenty of analysis out there.
Look, there is
in terms of them.
And they played in the ICC qualifier where the West Indies were in Zimbabwe last year. So there is a lot on this team. They're also playing Test cricket. They played Test cricket. The Gorilla guys in the UK covered that match.
Yeah,
and it's hard for you to say, especially in at this point in time in the world, for you to say there is no video.
Oh, absolutely. Right. There is video, definitely.
When the ICC even records associate teams playing ODIs.
Yes.
So the question is there something going on in the background?
I would be interested to see how they prepare for a World Cup and how it's different to a bilateral series. Obviously, in a bilateral series, you'll know your opposition up and down. You'll analyze them fully. But if you do have to play 9 different teams, it'll be slightly less in depth, I'd imagine.
Well, no, but I would assume you'd spend. So if this is just me being me, if I was coach, I'd say, okay, fine, we're going to the World Cup. We're playing all the best test teams in the world. I dedicate each day of my planning to each team. And so before the day starts of training, I'd say, okay, today we're playing Afghanistan, simulate, and in the nets, I'd get the net bowlers to bowl the traditional lengths that Afghan bowlers would bowl. So I'd get in leggies and leg spinners and a guy who's similar to Mujib, and a guy who bowls lazy off cutters like Muhammad Nabi, and try to recreate those things in the nets, and then to the bowlers, it's what lengths are going to give them the most problems, and you try and figure that out with your batsmen in the nets, or you can find anybody else. But for me, that's the type of training you do every day. And then the next day would be Australia, and you try get some sort of memory going for the guys so they know that, okay, on this day, this is what it is. And then when you get into the World Cup, there's not a lot of practice days that you can do. So all you need to do is analysis and try fix smaller things that are deficiencies that are happening, things that are creeping in, and that's how you kind of work around it. And I feel as though we were underprepared for this World Cup. I feel as though in the bilateral series it's a lot easier because there's not a lot of pressure.
Right.
So you can come in, you can bat, you're playing at home or wherever you are in the world. There is no pressure. No one's watching you. So even if you lose a game, there's not a lot of issues. The only pressure you feel is for your position in the side. And for a lot of these guys outside of Aiden Markram, his position in the side has been the only one that's been questioned. Whereas pretty much everybody else, even including JP Germany, their positions in the side have been noted for the past year that they were going to the World Cup. So that pressure's gone. So what are you playing for?
Yeah, I mean, it is an interesting one. I mean, my take on it would be that your backroom boys, in terms of the analysis, should have done their analysis on every single batter in the other teams. Know where their strengths are, where their weaknesses are, where they're most vulnerable early on, where they're most at their strengths, what their strengths are, where you should be bowling to them, and that is already in the bank. When you know the squads are announced, you've got from the 23rd of April I think it was the 23rd of April that all the squads had to be announced, and finally in the middle of May, there was then at least 2 weeks before the World Cup started. So by that time, all that analysis should have been done, and understand understanding then what is the approach that you follow against a specific team. Yes, they can mix it up, but you have a plan for a bowler against a batsman, or your team against a batsman. You understand.
I think allowing like Imran here, Faf, and say in that back, I think we should have as a week bring them in them ready. And like for instance, India. And this is something I found out last week. India took and young quick net, which to the so for instance, guys like Hendricks, guys like Chris Morris, guys like even for instance Reza.
Yeah,
keep them in. Bring them in an extended squad to the World Cup. Everybody kind of knows their role, and these guys are just there to add a little bit of color. For instance, we were going to face a lot of left arm quicks. You could have just kept Buren just to be a net bowler.
Absolutely.
Let him get into the system, get to see, and that's the type of out of the box thinking.
Yeah.
That sets you apart from everywhere else. It's not and I do this facetiously. I do think hiking does bring it in. It's not a hike up Table Mountain.
No.
It's not going to solve a lot of problems.
It's a proper plan.
And also having a discussion and saying, no, we need to play. Guys need to talk about how they feel about pressure, how they feel going into the World Cup. Everyone needs to speak. And I feel as though in the dressing room, everyone is angry, but no one's actually letting their feelings out and talking about what it is they're feeling. Aiden Markham needs to tell us what pressure he's feeling under. Everyone's got certain types of pressure, and it's one of those things where you need to allay the pressure as the backroom staff and say, no, this is what it is. If you have a problem playing balls down the leg side, or I'm afraid that in England, my skill set of bowling short might be found out, guys can talk about what it is. Do you think people are going to like you if you fail? Do you think people are going to hate you? Do you think, and those are the things. And if you create that type of a culture where failing isn't a bad thing, but it's something that it's not going to be the end of the world. I think this team is a better side that way, which is why a bilateral series works well for the side, because there is no pressure to fail. We got smacked 4-1 against India last year and nobody spoke about it.
I think it was 6-1. They gave us a 7-match series.
So, I think, perhaps, Chris, you want to comment on some of that?
I was just along the lines of, if you do give your bowlers their plans, you need to at least get some feedback as to how comfortable they are with those.
Yeah.
Because even if a bowler has a plan, I think we saw it in a limited amount today, where maybe you bowl to the plan for an over, you don't get a wicket, and suddenly you get frustrated, and you may go back to your default bowling style. You may not stick to that. So you need to make sure that the players and the backroom staff are talking to each other, and that they're confident in it. So if the backroom staff are telling you to play one way because that's the analysis that they've done, either you have to say, you have to be open about how much you agree with it, and if you do believe that, you need to stick to it, or you need to have an open conversation with them and try to find a sort of a plan that you can make together.
As you say, there needs to be a plan B. We saw in the Bangladesh match that Chris Morris was asked to bowl short, and he just bowled short.
And it's not his game. He's not Duan Olivier.
No, that's not his game, really. And he continued to bowl short even though it wasn't working, and then conceded 79 in his 10 overs. And the following game, he was really against India. He was on his game. He was one of the players of the match against India from a South African perspective.
Look, and I think the difference with that India match was that the South African bowlers were bowling lengths they were comfortable with.
Much better lengths, yes.
And if you looked at the way Kagiso bowled, he bowled a lot of aggression, he bowled full, and that's what Kagiso is. He pins you back in your crease, he bowls it full, you respect him by not playing him, but then the other guy on the other end, that bowling partner, is the one that's going to come and rack up all the wickets. And that's how Kagiso's international ODI career has been. He's never going to take 4 or 5 wickets, but he's going to take 2 or 3. But the other guy on the other end, Lungingidi, Andile Pehlugwayo, Chris Morris, will be the ones who are taking wickets. And it's just about figuring out where to go, what to do. And to a certain extent, in a World Cup situation, you do need to tell people, I need you to stand there and do this, rather than just allowing people to be free and trust their instincts. Because I feel as though, I think when it comes to a World Cup situation, nobody wants to make a mistake. But if I make a mistake doing my job and I was told to stand here, that's a little bit better to bear, rather than someone needing you to take a risk.
Yeah.
and doing something that you are uncomfortable with or haven't been told to do, even though it might not be your job?
Well, I think we've seen that there seems to be a general lack of direction or maybe it's man management in the South African team in terms of what they should be doing, in terms of then what their roles are, and particularly from a batting point of view, when we have had the misfortune of losing a couple of wickets early up front, it's been a question of, Faf du Plessis has actually looked very good out in the middle until he has, in most instances, had was bowled by a very good ball from Chahal in the previous match, but in the match against Bangladesh just walked straight past a straight one. And it really was, he was put in the position that he was Faf in the India match because Rassi Fanadisson played such a terrible shot against Chahal.
But even in that context, I feel as though we